Hey y'all, and welcome to my channel, Useless but Useful Information. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about water. Before I get started, I kind of want to talk to you guys about why I even started this channel to begin with. I know I kind of briefly told y'all in my intro video a year ago. Yes, I'm sorry, I do apologize that it took this long for me to get this channel started. COVID hit, and then I just started working and everything. I needed to get a new camera, so I'm going to apologize right now. The camera I upgraded to isn't much better, but it was only $60 on Amazon, so I had to get it. Anyways, going back to why I started this channel. So I started this channel because I want to leave behind a legacy. And, you know, it's one thing to write a book or you know, leave a journal or something like that behind, but I feel like I can put a lot more personality into a video, and I have a lot of personality. So I thought, what better way to do that than through a video log? So that's what I'm doing, and then I also think I started this because it wasn't until about, I would say, like the last year or so I've ever had a mentor, you know, someone that I can go to for anything, and they have always have the best advice. I've never had that. Female, male, none. I haven't had anybody. So, you know, if I can be that person for somebody just by, you know, putting out a video every week, I mean, that would be awesome. Like, again, this is for me, but, you know, yeah. Anyways, so let me give you guys kind of a backstory about me. My name is Journey Dior. I am 24. I was adopted when I was really young, and I have a huge family. Shout out to you guys. I'm originally from Iowa and Minnesota, but I currently live in the great state of Texas. Whoop, whoop. And, you know, so I joined the military when I was about 19, and I got married really young. So I got married when I was 21. And then divorced at 23. When I joined the military, I became a medic, so I've had quite a bit of experience in the medical industry. And then also, you know, I'm not going to tell you too much, because at the end of the day, you're going to get to know me over the next, I don't know how long it's going to take me to do these videos, but as you can see, I have a lot of motivation here, so it's going to take me a while to get through all of that. But again, all these words I'm going to try and get through, and there's a lot more that's not even on there that I want to talk about, but this is where we're going to start. So again, so I'm going to go back to water. So why am I talking to you guys about water? Water is so important. I'm going to throw some facts to y'all, and I literally have my tablet ready to go to really get into it. But one of the main factors why water is so important, you literally wouldn't live without it. I know for me, like when I know I have like brain fog or something, you know, headache, I know immediately it's probably because I'm dehydrated. But I mean, water, it even goes deeper than that. So let me explain why drinking water is so important. Number one, your body is made up of 60% of water, and your blood is made up of 90% of water. So, you know, if you have a massive hemorrhage or something like that, I guess that's not important. Let me stay on track. So another big reason why water is important. So all of your body fluids, such as your digestion, absorption, circulation, your saliva, your transportation of nutrients, your maintenance of your body temperature, and removal of body waste, you know, through urine, through perspiration and bowel movements, all of that is dependent on how much water you have in your system. As well as, my ladies, it's good for your hair, your skin, and your nails. And as you can see, I'm looking a little dry right now, so you know I could probably use a little bit more water. But, so one of the best ways that I think about water, like how much I should be drinking, or how much you know, I've drank for the day, you take your body weight and you divide it by 2. So I weigh about 130, so I should be drinking about 65 ounces of water per day. And you should also be drinking more water, like with climate changes. So, you know, it's really easy. Like if it's really hot out, you know, you're going to feel thirsty. You're going to drink a lot more water. But it's usually in the cold climates like right now that a lot of people actually get dehydrated because they don't even realize that they're dehydrated. But again, other things you should be looking out for, like if you're physically active, you know, if you're sick. So when you're sick, you're actually losing a lot of body fluids, you know, from your sweat, from vomiting, from diarrhea. So yeah, I mean, if you have COVID right now, then you already know what I'm talking about. But yeah, drink a lot of water. And okay, let me get into the different types of water. Oh, pause. Let me show y'all something. If y'all know me personally, you know me, and I'm always carrying around. Okay, as you can see this right here. Oh, sorry. This right here is about 30. Is it 40? I think it's 40 ounces of water. Or 32. Anyways, I know that I should be drinking about 2 of these a day. Do I? No. But should I? Yes. Anyways, so this right here, like, is perfect for me because I know I only have to refill it twice. If you have one of those smaller water bottles, you're refilling that like way too often. Like, I don't have time for that. So yeah, I recommend, you know, however big you are. So if you weigh like 180 pounds, I would get an even bigger one than this. Just so you only have to fill it twice per day, you know, like, oh, I drink enough water. Again, this is just what I'm supposed to do, right? This is like when you set the bar up here. You know, even if you make it to like here, hey, at least you know where your bar is. You're setting goals. So, setting goals are good. It's 2021. Anyways. Okay, so let me talk about the types of water. There's so many different types of water, and if you go to the grocery store right now and you see like 20 different types, and you're like, why are there so many different waters, and why are the prices, like, where do they come up with the prices? Okay, well, let me explain. I'm gonna break it down by the types, like the best types of water you should be drinking, and some of the ones you should kind of stay away, and the reasons why. So, the best types of water that I recommend that you drink are, number one, gonna be spring water. And why? Spring water is basically natural water that's been collected from a flowing water source, and it has a natural amount of chemicals, so your concentrations of calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium, and those are very vital for our body to function. I know I used to actually drink distilled water all the time, but what I realized was we actually do get a lot of our daily nutrients just from drinking water. So if you're drinking distilled water, there's no nutrients in it. It tastes great, there's no nutrients. So that kind of makes, I'm going to roll into the next kind of water. And why I say spring water is the best first, it's because it's the cheapest. If you go to the store, usually spring water is cheaper than, and then there's also going to be mineral and artisan water. So if you've seen those are actually kind of expensive, so I don't recommend those because they're very similar and you're going to pay probably double the price. But anyways, so let me explain what the difference between spring water is and mineral water. Mineral water is very similar to spring water, but mineral water, the biggest difference between mineral water is that it is a naturally, I'm just going to read it because obviously I'm doing too much. This water is naturally occurring from a protected underground water source similar to spring water with no added minerals, and the water can be filtered to remove heavy arsenic minerals, but nothing can be added. So it's similar to spring water. However, for mineral water to actually have its name like printed on the bottle itself, it has to contain a specific amount of traces of minerals to be considered true mineral water. So it's basically like being called a doctor and you have to have the license. Same, you know, like something like that. And mineral water companies actually have to go through like testing phases that could take up to 2 years, you know, for microbiological testing. So let me roll into artisan water. Artisan water is also very similar to spring and mineral water. However, for it to be considered artisan water, the water needs to be extracted naturally with without a pump forcing it to the surface. Again, very, very similar to mineral and spring water. However, artisan water is going to be the most expensive water that you're going to find with, you know, like those naturally occurring minerals in it. So the next type of water I would recommend that you guys drink is going to be these next three are all kind of very, very similar again. So as far as the cheapest water that you're going to get out of these three, it's going to be distilled. So distilled water is basically water that has been boiled, and the water that is evaporating is then collected, and because water has a higher melting point than most of the minerals in that water, the minerals and the contaminants will stay at the bottom, and the water will be collected. You know, all of the, basically anything that would be considered a contaminant would be left behind. So the next type of water is going to be reverse osmosis water. And reverse osmosis water is basically like filtered water. So it takes the water and it pressurizes it through a porous filter to create pure water. So it's basically removing, again, all of the bacteria, chemicals, and minerals. However, reverse osmosis water is going to cost more to make just because of the filters that are in it. The next one is going to be alkaline water. So I know that there was a huge hype on alkaline water. Alkaline water basically refers to the pH level. So if you don't know what it is, it's referring to the pH level. So I don't know if you remember science class, you have your pH scale from 1 to 14, and the whole concept is to make the water as basic as possible. So the natural pH of the human body is anywhere between 7.35 up to 7.45. However, most researchers will agree that your body will function better on a more basic value. So the whole concept of, you know, like an alkaline diet or drinking alkaline water is to bring down the acidity level so that those harmful bacteria, viruses, parasites, all of that are less likely to grow in an environment that's more basic. So, yeah, so I mean, alkaline water, there's two different types of alkaline water that you can buy in the store. And they probably won't even tell you this, but you have alkaline water that's very basic because it's been charged, so it's been ionized. And then you have your alkaline water that is naturally alkalytic due to however many minerals are in it. So most of the time when you go to the grocery store, you're going to get the water that's been charged. So the process is called electrolysis. Ooh. Anyways, it's basically a process of taking water and running it through an ionizer, which basically sends electrical charges through the water to separate the molecules in the water to raise the overall pH level. Again, you can get the same effect of alkaline water that's been ionized if you drink mineral water. So that's why I say, for me, again, this is all opinion based. I know that there's probably experts out there watching this video, but if you're asking my opinion on results and everything, I definitely recommend spring water. So I'm going to roll into the waters that I recommend that you kind of abstain from altogether if you can. And I'm going to kind of go down the list on what I think. The next one I'm going to roll into is well water. Well water is also something called hard water, basically because this is water that's coming straight from the ground. So a lot of people who live out in the country, they have wells built because they're not using city water. So this is kind of a cool process. I don't know if I'm going to put like a picture up of how it works, but I'm just going to explain it. If you're like a visionary person like me, maybe you can listen to what I'm saying and kind of put things together. So let me just read this. And I did write this all, I promise. Anyways, So the water is collected straight from the ground, and it's untreated. The water is collected from drilling down into the underground layer of permeable rock. A pump is used to carry the water up into the home, and the problem with that is that well water can easily be contaminated, and majority of the time it'll have high levels of concentration of calcium and magnesium and iron, which and you'll know this because a lot of your fixtures in your home will stain yellow. So the reason why I know this is when I was little and I lived in Minnesota, we had a well, and we had a water softener, and it would work, it would help, but I mean we would still have those yellow stains. Anyway, I get so off track sometimes, sorry y'all. But okay, so let me explain why, and this is not even just for drinking water, but having hard water in your home and using it, you know, just using it, I don't recommend it because one, hard water can be very costly to your house because of all of the different mineral concentration buildup. So yeah, let me explain it. So hard water can be smelly. Hard water can also damage your water heater. So basically most water heaters are you either have gas or you have electric, but okay, I'm sorry y'all, I keep going so off track. I should probably just read this to you because it's perfectly written. Okay, so hard water is the most damaging to your water heater. Every home or business uses some form of gas or electric water heater to heat the water. These water heaters are basically like small tanks that act like a distillery. The water is heated, and all of the heavy minerals begin to break down to the bottom of the tank. That's kind of like the same process that I was talking to you guys about, like distilled water. So the water is heated, all the heavy minerals break apart and fall to the bottom of the tank, and the water will then flow through your pipes throughout your home. However, as those minerals start to build up, basically it's like reheating those minerals over and over and over and over and over, and eventually your water heater is going to break. And this is over a long period of time. I'm not saying it's going to happen in like 3 years. This is like, you know, upwards of 10 to 15 years, which is why most of the time people, like, I don't even know if you can buy a home that has a well and not get a water softener, because I'm pretty sure it's kind of like mandatory because they know it can mess with your water heater and your pipes and stuff. But again, this hard water damages like a lot of stuff in your home. So it can, your toilets, your faucets, your washing machines, your dishwashers, showers. And for women, you'll also see a huge change in your skin, your hair, your cookware. Like I remember when I was younger, my hair just feeling so, I don't even know how to explain it. Like my hair is stripped. Like every time I would take a shower, and I didn't know what was happening at the time, but now obviously I know. But again, so I kind of talked about hard water and, you know, having a water softener. So let me roll into what like a water softener is. And there's not, so okay, water softener uses salt pellets to break down those minerals so that it doesn't get stuck in your water softener. But there's also other types. There's water filters. So, you know, you have like your Culligan, the one that you can like attach to your faucet in your kitchen. Those work really well because they're small, and you use it just for, you know, when you're like washing your dishes, and you're you know, you might have like the one off to the side where you can just drink the water out of that. It requires limited maintenance. You know, it'll last quite a bit of time, but it's only good for, you know, your kitchen faucet. Your water softener, so those are good because that will filter all of the water that's in your house. So that'll be good, you know, for everything, your washing machine, especially, and your showers and your toilets. But like another upgraded option to the water softener is a filter based, which is basically, again, like reverse osmosis, which uses a porous filter to remove contaminants. So you have your water softener. Your reverse osmosis filter is like a step above it because it can remove a lot more impurities. So water softeners can only break down the calcium and the magnesium, but your reverse osmosis can remove up to 99% of contaminants. So, you know, like your bacteria, pathogens. It's just a better process. But again, you know, one time I did have, when I was married, I had some lady come to our house, and she used, they were like these little beads, and I had to look more into it. I'm sure it was like carbon and some other chemicals, but it worked really well because she had us try and drink the water coming straight out of our faucet, and then she would hook up the new filter and then have us drink it. And I just smelling the one that, you know, like the city water. I don't know if you guys have smelled your city water. Usually it has like a really strong like chlorine scent to it. Like I honestly, I can't think of any time in my life that I've actually drank water straight from the sink without a filter. So when she pointed the differences out, that's kind of when I started thinking more about upgrading some of my stuff in my house, specifically just for that, just because the difference was so insane. And I know what water softener water smells like too. So out of the three, you know, no filter at all, water softener, and then the reverse osmosis, I would definitely, like when I get my home again, I'm definitely going to get the like the reverse osmosis water or filter. Okay, so after well water, I'm going to roll into tap water. So tap water is a common term used to highlight what like a municipal water system is. So it's like a shared water system that is kind of for public use. So this water, you know, this is used for your cooking, your washing, your wastewater in your toilets, and all of this water is continuously recycled. And if you don't know the process of how this works, I'm gonna read it verbatim. Okay, so this process is usually 4 steps. It starts with a coagulation. So basically, if you can imagine using the toilet, flushing it, going down a whole bunch of tubes to like the municipal city water system. So the water all goes to this huge tank, right? And the first process is coagulation. So they basically add a whole bunch of chemicals to the water, and it binds to whatever heavy particles are in the water, and it helps those particles bind and then drop to the lower part of the tank. And then whatever on the top moves to another tank. So this is the second process, and it is filtered. So this is called the filtration process. And so this process, so the water moves over to the second tank, and there's a whole bunch of compounds. This is very similar to like your well system. So it's a combined filter using sand, gravel, and charcoal, and this is going to help dissolve stuff like dust, bacteria, parasites, viruses, and so on. And once the water goes through that process, it's going to go to the next one, which is disinfection. So basically, in this one, they just add a bunch of chlorine. This is going to kill off any remainder bacteria or germs. And then the very last step that they're going to do is they're going to add fluorine. yeah, I'm not going to get into conspiracies right now. But anyways, I definitely don't recommend drinking tap water as is. I would recommend using like a kitchen water filter if you're gonna drink it, for sure. Or even if you're cooking. I noticed, you know, when I was younger, you know, if I was cooking pasta or something, I wouldn't think twice to use filtered water. But now I do. Like, I'll use like my spring water anytime I need to cook my noodles, because and maybe I'm just bougie, but I definitely personally, I feel like I can tell the difference just in my performance, and I'm sure I'll tell you guys like all my supplements that I take on the daily eventually. But okay, I'm gonna roll right into the next one. So the next one I'm gonna talk about is purified water. Purified water is glorified city water. So when you go to the grocery store and you see, like, you know, your 24 packs of water, there's usually two options. You have spring water and then you have purified water. Purified water is, again, like city water that they somewhat filter and bottle. So you're basically paying for bottled city water that they've added more chemicals to. So this is where I'm gonna, this is what I really want to hit on. Okay, so the purified water. So so they take the city water and they will filter it using a UV light, and then it'll go through like a testing process to meet the standards to be considered, you know, purified. And then this is what I don't like. They'll fortify it with several different chemicals. And a lot of these chemicals, and I don't know if you know what these chemicals are, but until I did this video, I had no idea what these chemicals were. So let me kind of explain them to you. So some of the most common fortified minerals or chemicals that you'll see in purified water, you're going to see is magnesium sulfate, which is basically like Epsom salt. And then you have potassium chloride, which is something that's commonly used as a fertilizer and fire extinguishing agent. And then you have magnesium chloride, which is a type of pharmaceutically prepared version of magnesium. And then you have potassium bicarbonate, which is an inorganic compound also used as a fire extinguishing agent. And then you have dipotassium phosphate, another inorganic compound of water-soluble salts. You have sodium bicarbonate, which is basically baking soda. And then you have calcium chloride. Calcium chloride is basically an inorganic compound of salt that's made from calcium and chlorine. So all of these chemicals in general, this is what I really want to hit on, is that they make your body more acidic. So again, if we go back to like what I was talking about with alkaline water, if research says that, you know, you should be sticking more to alkaline foods and beverages, you know, so not only are you paying for city water, but they're also putting more chemicals in it that could be dangerous to your body if consumed on a consistent basis. Like, if you drink one purified bottle of water every once in a while, that's not going to hurt. But if you're one of those people that drinks those 24 packs of water consistently all the time, you may not see the signs until later on in life, but I just don't recommend it. Like, if we're breaking down each chemical and what it is, because another thing with like reading labels, if it contains like less than 1% of what's on the, like, if a chemical is less than 1%, then they don't even have to mention it on the label. So it doesn't even say the percentage of how much they're using of these chemicals in the water. So, you know, like when you read any nutrition facts label and it'll say the percentage of what, there's not that in water. It just says, here's the extra chemicals we put in it. So you don't even know how much of that chemical is in it. So again, I just don't recommend purified water, just because if you're gonna pay for city water, you might as well just pay for city water, or you know, drink your water out of your sink and then put a filter on it. So again, here's some other points I want to hit on about why I don't recommend purified water. So high calcium levels in your blood can lead people to having trouble excreting bicarbonate. But I'm not even going to read this because you guys probably don't even know what that means. Okay, but everybody knows that sodium, high levels of sodium are not good for you, right? So if you're constantly consuming, you know, small doses of sodium in your water, but you're drinking purified water all throughout the day, you know, over time, that's a lot of sodium. So high levels of sodium in the blood, you know, if you're already taking medications for your high blood pressure or high cholesterol, you know, this could potentially, again, I'm not a professional, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not going to try and like make any claims. I just recommend, you know, I did my research, you can do your research, but if these are chemicals that aren't even organic, meaning they're not coming from the ground and naturally found in the water, and you can avoid drinking it, then I just recommend, you know, you stick with the spring water, because it's natural, right? There's no added stuff in there that we don't even know what it is, because like even me reading all these, you know, potassium bicarbonate, do I really know what it is? I'm not, you know, a science whiz, but just hearing something inorganic to me just kind of raises some red flags. Another reason why I would avoid it is, you know, if you're someone who has low potassium levels, sodium bicarbonate can lower your potassium blood levels even more. So people who have kalemia, I would recommend that you avoid this chemical altogether. And then also, if you're someone who's iron deficient, so like, you know, if you're pregnant, or like my sister, for example, not a doctor again, but she was showing all the classic signs of anemia, and you know, if you're already iron deficient, sodium bicarbonate will actually decrease how much iron your body can absorb. So, I don't know. I just think that, you know, if you can avoid this, if I can avoid this, then that's what I'm going to do. Again, this is my opinion. You guys can do whatever. Another thing that I want to bring up too, I know you guys have probably heard it, but if you leave, you know, non-reusable water bottles in your car, it's very dangerous. And yes, there's like a million ways you can die, like, or, you know, get cancer, but let me explain what happens when you leave a bottle of water outside in the heat. So I don't know if you guys know this, but when you see an expiration date on like one of those plastic bottles, you know, from like the 24 pack, the water doesn't expire. It's actually the water bottle that's expiring. And the reason why is because the plastic itself starts to break down and those little tiny particles start getting into the water. So you start to consume those particles, and obviously no one wants to drink, you know, plastic, because ideally we don't know what the long-term effect is going to do to the body. I mean, there is research that will say that it's very harmful. There's something called PFAs, and these are referred to as forever chemicals. So that basically means chemicals that can be removed from the body. And and these chemicals have been found in those water bottles. So what happens is those water bottles that have been left in the heat are releasing dioxins into the water, and though they're highly toxic, and they can cause, you know, different types of cancers, different diseases. And going back to those PFAs, so using those throwaway bottles in general, I just like, for me, what I do is I like to buy like the gallons of them, and then you know, I refill my big water bottle like periodically. Like, I wish I could say twice a day, I really don't, but and then that's what I do. But when you have those reusable water bottles, a lot of times, you know, we leave them all over the place, and you know, especially like when you go to like different events and you see them like sitting out in the sun, it can be very dangerous. So just in general, so those PFAs that I was referring to again, exposure to PFAs can lead to liver damage, thyroid disease, a decrease in fertility, high cholesterol, obesity, hormone suppression, and cancer. And what happens is those PFAs in the body, they'll primarily settle in your blood, your kidney, and your liver. And a study from 2007 by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimated that PFA chemicals could be detected in the blood of 98% of the U.S. population. According to the environmental advocacy group, environmental working group, more than 1,500 drinking water systems that serve nearly 110 million Americans may already be contaminated with these chemicals. So we all may be dying already from these chemicals, but again, if I'm not trying to be like a Debbie Downer here. I'm just saying, avoid drinking out of those throwaway bottles as much as possible, because they're cheap. They're cheap for a reason, right? Usually more expensive things like glass bottles or your aluminum, they're more expensive because, you know, yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so I hope you guys learned something today. I know, like, the lighting is so bad in here. I'm doing this really late. I probably should have done this a lot sooner, but I'm really passionate about this stuff, especially water. For me, if you're around me all the time and you say, oh my god, I have a headache, I'm probably going to tell you to drink more water. If I say, oh my god, I've been having so many cramps, or I'm having trouble sleeping, I'm probably going to tell you to drink more water. If you say your skin is dry, you know, you've got acne, whatever, I'm probably going to tell you to drink more water. I just think water in general increases, like, your overall health by, like, a magnitude that you won't even know until you try it. And I can only think of like a couple times in my life that I've like consistently drank water. And that was like when I went through like basic training. Yeah, that's maybe one or two times after that. But I noticed, like, for me specifically, when I'm drinking more water, like, my skin just feels a lot healthier. And so I know that the benefits are there, and you know, if I follow it more often, I'm sure I'd have better results too. But I really appreciate you guys watching this video, and my next video I'm going to be talking about happiness and many different like aspects of happiness, and like how it ties into my life specifically. And yeah, I hope I was able to change y'all's perspective on water and give you guys some more useful information, like when y'all are going to the grocery store. But if you guys like my video, can you please like, subscribe, and share? Like, subscribe, and share to my channel. And I will see you guys sometime next week. Thanks, guys.